Day 200 of the cut. I am feeling rough, a little bit jacked up. We'll talk more about that in a couple minutes. But on this week's diet check-in with Justin, he told me the worst thing that he probably could have. Because if you remember the question I was thinking of asking Justin at the end of last night's vlog, well, I didn't ask it because asking that question would make me a pansy, but he kind of answered that question without me needing to ask it, and he sent the answer before the vlog came out, so he definitely didn't decide to say that based on the vlog. But I really didn't like what he said, because basically it was that I am now lean enough that we could execute on that rebound, but if I'm willing to stick it out for a few weeks more, it'll mean a better rebound. And the reason I really didn't like hearing that is now I kind of have an option to quit, which I really am tempted to take with how it's feeling. But if I know that it will be better to stick it out a little bit longer, well, we're just gonna stick it out a little bit longer. Yeah, that was the call. So yeah, we just gotta keep sucking it up for a little bit more so we can get the most out of the last year and a bit of cutting that I've been doing. But if you're wondering why I'm running reverse grips today, well, I would have talked about that on the Monday vlog, but I couldn't vlog the Monday vlog, right? Because on Saturday, I evidently cranked a little bit too hard on that pullover machine, and my shoulder was right pissed off after that. Like, it was good enough to work on Monday's bench, but it didn't feel the freshest afterwards. And I know that when my shoulder does feel like this, reverse grip definitely helps it feel more betterer. Which is mostly because reverse grip forces me to access some rotation that I wouldn't normally be touching. Plus, it makes it a hell of a lot easier for me to find on my upper back, which is something else that my bench has kind of been missing. So I think this will be a wiser choice than trying to force that shoulder through overhead when it really doesn't feel like moving through overhead. Definitely a little bit awkward because it's been a very long time since I have run a reverse grip, but I think this was the right call for today. And maybe I am being a pansy here because I probably could have forced my way through overhead, but the thing that I'm thinking about is I want to make sure that my bench is good to go Monday. So I'd rather sacrifice a little bit of overhead progress to do something that's going to ensure that I am good to go on Monday. So yeah, we're fine with the reverse grip for today. And for that one, I remembered that I need to slide further under the bar to make the reverse grip unwrap work. And it was like instant, so much better feels in the hand, so much better feels in the upper back. And the shoulder was smoother than the first set, which has me tempted to go up. But considering we're doing this to make sure the shoulder does feel good for Monday, we're gonna keep her here for one more. And as sad as my training is looking on this day, check this out, because this is Craig taking 545 for a really smooth triple to finish out his meet prep. And the reason this is so cool for me to see is when Craig started in the team, he was coming off of a major adductor blowout, and squatting in the high threes was almost impossible for him. And to see the progress that he's made and how far he has come to the point where he's almost chipping away at all-time PRs in this short time period is so freaking cool. And seeing Craig, seeing everyone else on the team doing shit like this is a good reminder for me when I am having a bad session, that instead of just trying to smash my head on the wall, I need to ask myself, how would I treat my own training if I was coaching me? And I'm going to be thinking a little bit harder on that moving forward. But if you guys are stuck in the gym, you're not making the progress that you want to be, something is jacked up and you just can't figure it out, hit the link below, join the team, because we will get you rolling. So goal for this one is to see if we can smooth up the feels a little bit more. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Which means it's now time to go tag some accessories with the goal of both touching delts and ensuring that the shoulder feels better than when we walk in the gym. And for that, figure we're gonna start out with some chest supported side raises, because with how it is feeling right now, I feel like this will be a good option to really touch the spot that feels like it needs touching. And to clarify what I meant there, it's not the rear delt that hurts, but when the shoulder does get a little bit sticky feel, it feels like the rear delt gets a little bit inhibited. So what I'm trying to do right now is give it a reason to wake up and start doing its job better. Because it is the left shoulder that is a little bit pissy right now. And the left side is not the one that I had all the shoulder surgeries on growing up. Left side's the one that I've had a couple dislocations on. Know I have a thrashed labrum, but never got anything done about it. And kind of like I was saying, whenever it does get tweaky, it kind of just feels like shit's shutting off and doesn't want to contract well. And then just getting stuff to contract well tends to make it feel better. So that's what we're doing right now. And on that note, I have been jamming on a ton of banded prep work at home with a similar intent to get to the point where it can work. But now that it can work, well, doing real work is going to be better, more productive work for it, I guess. And since we established that things are feeling kind of decent there, we'll move on to this sucker and look for some work that'll be probably more productive than the work that we already did, I guess. I'm just rambling at this point, but gonna probably keep reps a little bit lighter here, drive reps a little bit higher, make sure we're getting a nice connection, make sure things are still feeling good so that we are gonna be good to go for Monday. And I think like the biggest reason the shoulder did get pissy probably isn't so much to do with that pullover machine as it is just the fact that I have been cooking freaking hard on both of my upper body sessions every single week the last few weeks. Like I'm trying to run 4 hard push movements per session, which is something that I like, something that is very doable when I am not this sad and hungry. But I think what I got to do to be able to finish this cut well, if we are going to be sucking it up and finishing it, is I just got to be okay with picking a little bit more smaller movements instead of just jamming on the big heavy presses over and over and over again. Like we're not going to forget about big heavy presses, but instead of running 4 big movements on the upper sessions, I think moving forward we're going to have to tone her down to 2, 3, just so that we can make sure that we are able to finish this up as well as possible and not just run ourselves totally into the ground. And knowing how I'm feeling outside of the gym right now as well, probably gonna have to pull similar trigger on my lower body sessions as much as I don't want to, because I don't want the same shit to happen with, you know, a knee, a hip as I have had with the shoulder. So I think if we can tone it down a little bit, be a little bit smarter, it should let us continue to push harder through the end of this versus just like getting to the point where we have to shut everything down. So to try to be a little bit more proactive on not cooking myself too hard, just to make sure that we are in as good of a spot as we can be when it comes time to put food back in. And I think we're gonna go for one more kind of rear delty thing, going cable low to high, try to take a little bit of super spinniness along with that rear delt, make shit feel good. Higher reps again, not forcing loading, getting that sweet pump. Did I say high to low? I meant low to high because we're hands are low, hands are going high. Hopefully that's obvious. And that definitely hit the spot, just like screwing around, moving around, like doing mock overhead presses right here. Like it's feeling pretty freaking smooth, which part of me wants to go try to press a barbell, but part of me also knows that would be unwise with the current situation. So we're gonna just run another round of digging in to that pump. Step back a little bit further than the last set. I forgot how much I like these. Like it's been like since Florida, since I've actually ran something like this. I should probably do it more often. because that is 100% a better rear delt feel than I get in the reverse pec decks here. So going to remember that for the future weeks. And for the fronty, it's going to be really lame and run them cross body, which probably isn't perfect for front delt. Well, I mean, it definitely isn't perfect for front delt because it is going to be a lot of clavicular pec going on here as well. But considering that I didn't get to run the press today, I'm going to be okay with a little bit of clavicular pec touch in here. And like the real reason I'm doing this is I suspected that it would feel nice in the shoulder, and it does feel nice in that shoulder, so I'm okay with it. Vlog is probably going to be really boring to watch with how many reps I'm doing today. Sorry. It's fun though. Slight camera angle change for round 2. Slight step up in dumbbells. Just so I don't have to do quite as many reps, but I don't know. I'm enjoying the feel of higher rep sets because pumps are fun and I've kind of missed it. Running out of things to say though. And holy freaking guacamole, we are blown up off that. Like struggling to hold the camera up right now, but then I walk over and look at Mianna and realize delts are still like smaller than her giant cannonballs that are popping out, so we still got some work to do. So we're gonna continue that effort with some dips where I'm gonna be a pansy and run some decently hefty assistance just to make sure that it stays therapeutic feeling. This might be too much assistance, but I'll feel it out. Yeah, I can definitely afford to take a little off, but glad we started here just to establish that I'm not going to die. Pulled a bunch of resistance off, so hopefully it's not too much to keep it feeling good. But I say this every time I run dips, like, they get such a bad rap for being hard on shoulders. And it's like, yes, they can be if you load them inappropriately and force range of motion beyond what you have access to. But as long as we make the loading tolerable for what the shoulders have and don't force range to where it gets sketchy, they are hands down one of the better things we can do for making shoulders feel better. So I'm feeling pretty okay with these so far, but also don't want to get too adventurous today, considering the point of the day. I should have set up further back though, because my hat touching the cable is a little bit annoying. Gonna run one more here because I don't think the first set really counted as a work set in the slightest. So a little bit less assistance once again, and making sure that my hands are on the back so we're not kissing the power. But what I'm really trying to do is in the bottom, let the scaps get away from the rib cage, and then making sure that we're shoving through hard, getting some lat into the bottom, getting some serratus in. And I think that is where the real magic happens with running these for shoulders, because it's going to carry over so well to being able to use lats and serratus on bench. I do those like slow and controlled with assistance might actually be harder than body weight just because I'm forced to have a better contraction, so I'm okay with this. Also, very exciting news. Truckload full of fresh new Panada stuff just showed up. That is a leg press, which I am very, very, very excited to have in here. Because I think that's what we'll be running on Wednesday, just so we don't have to cook ourselves on the pit shark next week. Anyways, with how the shoulder is feeling on paper, this thing might not look like the best call, but plan here is going to be similar to the dips. Just keep it in a very manageable loading range. Try to make that overhead position feel solid. And if we can do that today, we should be able to do better on it next week, because I don't want to abandon this sucker because it's so freaking gross. Might be able to go up a little bit because this is pretty damn light. Put 135 on, so nothing crazy. Hopefully doesn't feel like it's crazy. Yeah, we're good to go. Gonna do one more here. And what tells me that we're loading this appropriately is that after the sets, shoulder is feeling like more free, more open from spending time in the exposed position. So we'll do our best to keep that up. For this one, didn't go up, same weight, so should be more than manageable here. And like with it being a little bit lighter, like trying to like make it as hard as I can for the amount of weight. So really just squeezing into the bottom, squeezing out of that bottom position, trying to contract the tries as well as I can, just that even if it is light, like we're still getting something out of it. Hopefully something. It kind of comes back to the whole like, would heavier be better for making triceps stronger? Probably, but heavier probably wouldn't be better for making sure the shoulder feels better, and being stronger long term, making the shoulder feel better as soon as possible, gonna be the better option. And I got plenty hard at the end, so we'll be okay. Time for some pull downs. Abandoning the pursuit of width here today, just because without the shoulders feeling, I think supinated, trying to go for that big let go at the top, get a little bit of external rotation kicking, will be more productive for making the shoulder feel better, so that's where we're going. Wasn't planning on going all that heavy, but we can go up. Just a plate though, nothing crazy, because again, the goal for today is to make sure we're feeling good so we can sustain better work in the future. That stretch position feels so freaking good, FYI. And I kind of do wish the strength curve was a little bit more aggressive at the top, because while it lightens up pretty aggressively, which makes it tougher to get that good stretch, but I mean, we're working with it, so we'll do another set. And I mean, we can make up for that with a little bit of extra stretching between sets. Pretending I'm DC training or something. And I mean, nothing spectacular, but pretty happy with how she's feeling. And we got more good news, because that is the 4th leg press that they've unloaded from that truck. So we're no longer going to have a leg press shortage at the gym. That is for damn sure. And for biceps part one, what I'm thinking will be a pretty good option for that shoulder feels. Let that scap get away. It's going to be running like a single arm crucifix type dealio on this guy. This used to be one of my favorites when I was in Florida, and the shoulder, like, I hadn't quite figured out yet, so helped it back then, so figuring it should help it feel more better now, you know? Can already tell that this is going to do what I want it to do. And is this the best option for training biceps? Well, absolutely not, but with some shoulder funk, it can be a decent option to help clean up the funk while getting a nice little pump. And another option that I really like when shoulders are funky is, again, setting up the cable at about shoulder height, stepping back, leaning forward, letting us reach away, and then trying to drive elbows forward as we curl. And it feels gross in the best way possible. Perfect world, I'd have an incline bench to support my chest on, but I don't want to drag one of those over. I don't know if any of you guys are old enough to remember when mobility wide was a big thing, but that's basically like the Kelly stretch, like broomstick, shoulder, ER, lat stretch, but adding a little bit of loading to the picture. Gonna drop the cable down one hole for the next one though. And like mechanically, what's going on there is basically because we're trying to reach the elbows away, letting it get like pulled away from us as we're curling, it's kind of forcing the short head of the biceps to come into play in terms of sucking the humeral head back into the socket so it can help the rotator cuff out with doing shoulder stability stuff. Now, because neither of those options are really hard enough to count as work, we're gonna come over here and actually work the biceps. Because can't have people making fun of my arms on the next podcast. Actually, please make fun of my arms in the next podcast comments because it'll be motivation to continue actually training them. We'll go up a little bit for the next set. On second thought, same loading, just flipped around for a better leverage situation here. And continuing the pursuit of less sad and weak abs, we're getting back on the GHR setup today. Was freaking dead after cardio this morning, so I did not do extra GHR setups at home, so making up for it here. Gonna not load it after the loading last night, because that was really gross. And we'll just try to get some good work in. Adequate. And we'll run one more. Stoked with how those are coming around. Not so stoked with how limited today's training was, but it's like, if my priority is being as good at squat, bench, and deadlift as I can, taking back the pullback today, sacrificing a little bit of progression I maybe could have made on the overhead, could have made on the machine press, like, yeah, I do wish I could have cranked on those harder, but I do know that had I chosen to crank on those, I might not be able to bench super well on Monday, and I'd be a lot more pissed off at myself if I pushed through and made things feel shitty or made things hurt worse, and then had to take Monday way more pulled back than I already did pull back today. And like the intent behind pulling back today isn't to, be a pansy, isn't to, try to slack off. It's to set myself up so I actually can work harder on the stuff that's going to matter more to building a total. And it's kind of shitty to kind of make these calls, and I never like doing it. I never even like talking about pain during the vlogs, because every time I do talk about being heard or talk about having something getting acted up, there's always some dipshit in the comments that wants to say that I don't know what I'm doing because I hurt myself. And like, the thing is that yes, I could have made a smarter loading decision on that pullover machine on Saturday, but the thing is that I didn't know it was going to happen. I wanted to crank, and having that happen is just a nice little reminder that I'm not invincible, and that when I am loading a new movement, I should have a little bit of caution. And it is so easy to make these kind of mistakes that I think it's important for me to talk about. It's important to me to be transparent when I do make them, because someone else is going to make this mistake, and if they're the guy that wants to get better, they need to know how to handle these situations and need to know what kind of decisions to be making when they are feeling a little bit limited because something is that little bit jacked up. And yes, if it was, less funky, yes, if it was, less bad, I definitely would have chugged through today, but I think the appropriate call was to have that little bit of back off. And even if Monday doesn't go perfect, I know that backing off today will give me the best chance at making Monday a better session. And the goal isn't the session that I'm in. The goal is always setting myself up to build momentum and thinking big picture. And yeah, I probably should have been thinking a little bit more big picture when I was cranking on that pullover machine, but that is in the past, and we will remember that the next time that we use it, because I don't want to let shit get funky and jacked up again. But that's what I got for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this boring ass vlog, and I will see ya in the team.